Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you, Adhikara, for the nice greeting. Thank you, Prabhu, Haribol. My apologies. I think we can just get started. Let's see who we got here first. Vaishnavi, of course, is there. Without her and Anantashesh, we would be no there. Yes, Manasi Ganga, Hari and Dharma, Sankalpa Gunam, Hari Krishna, Moksha Leela from Etobicoke. We've got Arjuna, and we don't see his face. Ashanta, Dayani, Hare Krishna, and Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all so much. All right, so we're going to get started. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschajade Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Hari Bol, everyone. Let's go to Om Jnana Timarandasya.
Om Jnana Timarandasya.
Jnananjana Shalakaya. Chakshurun Militanyena. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai. I was born in the darkest ignorance.
I was born in the darkest ignorance.
And my spiritual master opened my eyes.
And my spiritual master opened my eyes.
With the torch of knowledge.
With the torch of knowledge.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto him.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Thank you. We're on chapter 10, the opulence of the absolute. And Vaishnavi, can you tell us which shloka we're on?
1035.
35. Great. Hope everyone's doing good. Good. We want to remind everyone about the mantra retreat, which starts tomorrow evening. Okay, text 35. Brihat Samatha Samam Gayatri Chandasamaham Masanam Marga Shirshoham Ritunam Kusamakaraha. Of the hymns in the Samaveda, I am the Brihat Sama, and of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am Marga Shirsha, November, December, and of seasons, I am flower-bearing spring. Thank you. Can we get someone to read the first paragraph?
Kirti, please go. Or Sankalpa.
Yeah, I can read. So 35. Purport. It has already been explained by the Lord that amongst all the Vedas, he is the Samaveda. The Samaveda is rich with beautiful songs played by the various demigods. One of these songs is the Brihat Sama, which has an exquisite melody and is sung at midnight. In Sanskrit, there are definite rules that regulate poetry. Rhyme and meter are not written whimsically, as in much modern poetry. Amongst the regulated poetry, the Gayatri Mantra, which is chanted by the duly qualified Brahmanas, is the most prominent. The Gayatri Mantra is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the Gayatri Mantra is especially meant for God realization, it represents the Supreme Lord. This mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people, and when one attains success in chanting it, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must first acquire the qualities of the perfectly situated person, the qualities of goodness according to the laws of material nature, in order to chant the Gayatri Mantra. The Gayatri Mantra is very important in Vedic civilization and is considered to be the sound incarnation of Brahman. Brahma is its initiator, and it is passed down from him in the cyclic succession.
Thank you so much. Can we get someone to read the next paragraph, please?
I can read Maharaj. The month of November December is considered the best of all months because in India grains are collected from the fields at this time and the people become very happy. Of course, spring is a season universally liked because it is neither too hot nor too cold and the flowers and trees blossom and flourish. In spring, there are also many ceremonies commemorating Krishna's pastimes. Therefore, this is considered to be the most joyful of all seasons, and it is the representative of the Supreme Lord Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for reading. And we are looking at some areas of the Vedas we had discussed before. And Samaveda is one particular portion of the Vedas that glorifies various demigods, such as Indra. Yeah, we did, if you just zip back a little bit, text 22, we already addressed the some of these Vedas, right? And particularly Indra. So there are 4 Vedas, as the Rig, Sama, Atharva, Yajur Vedas, and they're all meant for some purification, for people rising to greater levels than they are currently. What relevance these Vedas have to us is kind of interesting to look at. Like, I'm not expecting that anybody on this call is going to start to dig up where can I find the 4 Vedas and, try to probe in and extract what I can for my further purification. Because Srila Prabhupada has landed us into what's called the Fifth Veda, wherein we find a lot of the Puranas, the ancient stories, and within it, Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita is very important to us because it helps us to transcend. Srila Prabhupada is saying here that one has to develop a lot of qualities of goodness to be able to get connected in the Vedas, and particularly the Gayatri Mantra. Not everybody's ready for the Gayatri Mantra, but I think this is one thing that might cross your mind sometimes, those who are not second initiated. How do I get that Gayatri Mantra? How do I get to be with those people who are sitting in a row and they have this special mantra, morning, noon, and evening, at a specific, let's say, positive times when the sun is in our presence? How can I get there? Well, it's good to be enthusiastic to have that privilege to chant Gayatri Mantra. But we would say that more important than Gayatri is the all-powerful Mahamantra given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if we have that you can say it's good enough. Everything else is a plus. Gayatri is a plus. And it's good if you can get there. Get onto that next level where you have certain privileges. So, Prabhupada's given us many mantras, so many. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's a mantra that Dhruva Maharaj was given to him by his disciplic succession, by Narada Muni. So that's also a powerful mantra. And so we don't cancel out or write off all these other great sound vibrations. But if we're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we can say it's good enough, but just to embellish it a little bit more, to give a little more fluff to life, we've got all these extra mantras. Somebody might ask, why are we doing fire ceremonies? Isn't chanting Hare Krishna good enough? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevala, Kalona Stevana, Stevana, Steva, or in the age of Kali, which is an ocean of faults, the way to get through it all, plow through all the mess, the chaos of the world, is that you just chant this Maha Mantra, and that's how you get deliverance from this world. So Prabhupada has given us these added features just to make our life a little more full and complete. Even the Maha Mantra gets a little bit embellished. You know, you have sort of the first, when you're chanting a melody, and you've got what we sometimes call part 1. And then there's part 2 to the melody. Sometimes there's part 3, and sometimes part 4. And it kind of just climbs, and it gets more and more rich and satisfying. It evokes your emotions. The Gayatri Mantra, just in short, and Prabhupada has given us several Gayatri Mantras. It's meant for enhancing our Krishna consciousness by the mercy of Krishna or Narayan on the sun, through empowerment through Guru, empowerment through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and empowerment through Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Gayatri Mantras that are given to devotees are all there to help us receive the mercy from these great teachers, acharyas, God, whatever. And so that should be good enough. As far as the 4 Vedas are concerned, as I mentioned earlier on, not absolutely necessary. We don't need to give necessary attention to various devatas or demigods. We're good to deal with the Deva Jagatpate, the God of gods, the Lord of lords. And that is Lord Sri Krishna. It's good enough. In fact, at this time of the year, many devotees are going to each other's homes and putting on the Damodarastakam, singing the song and praising the glories of Krishna as a little child. So that's one thing. And since we're talking about this time of year, we've got Margashirsha, November, December. We're there now. And this becomes a good month. Prabhupada explains in India, it's harvest time. Well, for us, it's somewhat harvest time. Those of us who are living in the north, there's still some pumpkins hanging around. That's always a great harvest. But it is a contemplative time. It's a very good time for introspection. And many cultures have recognized this time of the year to be a special time. We're not in the dead of winter, but we're getting closer. Our days are getting short, and we're slowly heading towards the winter solstice. That's the shortest day of the year, bordering on the, climbing again, days getting a little bit longer. But in Krishna consciousness, everything is good. Everything is good. We just need to bathe ourselves in the stupendous, the tub of nectar that Prabhupada has given us. He's given us various literatures that make our lives complete and pure. He's given us Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, teachings of Lord Chaitanya / Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Nectar of Devotion. He's felt that these literatures are good enough for our spiritual progress. If we have time, we can delve into other areas, but he was just wanted to make sure we get the basics down, not to get too distracted. Okay, so here's something that we may be challenged by sometimes. We have lots of wonderful books out there, books by different devotees and God brothers, God sisters, and other enlightened souls in our movement. They put out really good material, relevant, relatable, doable, approachable, good stuff that really rings true in our hearts. We should read them. They are realizations of the devotees. And Prabhupada did ask us to write about our realizations. So it's not a fault or it's not a weakness on the part of someone to write spiritual literature because it's an order from Prabhupada. But we want to encourage people, newcomers, oldcomers, to use as the basis Prabhupada's material, the BBT publications. That's so important because it's the foundation for everything. And it's always good to revert back to them. I think it's wonderful that in our temples, we stick to these kind of this kind of a program where we are reading his literature or what he has given us as purports, because it's coming from a pure source. If we have time to go delve into other areas, fine. When Prabhupada was with us, we also hear about sometimes devotees were delving into Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's beautiful purports and writings. But Prabhupada was quite keen that we read his material first and keep at it. Why? Because the purity is there, and he's spoken in such a way that it is, let's say, relevant to our ears. Yeah. Now, some people, I'm just going to throw some, it's a little controversial. Some people say, I can relate to so-and-so Swami's, Prabhupada's disciples' material because he's speaking in the language of today. Whereas Prabhupada's material is something that's, kind of classical English or words that I can't always comprehend. And you'll hear these kind of things. I think we shouldn't block our ears from these things and consider it blasphemous. I think it's really good that our lives become enriched when we do have, that which comes from the source, Prabhupada, and of course, he's expecting us to assimilate it, and then to roll it out in the form, expressing it into our own words. Like many of you are in a good position to be able to give classes. What's the basis of your philosophical truth? Prabhupada's books, okay? And then you, of course, may be in a position where you're asked to give some basic, rudimentary principles and tenets of our philosophy. And that's good. Say it in your own words. In fact, Prabhupada, when he wrote the famous song, he talks about the song when he was coming off the Jaladuta. His appeal was to Lord Krishna and invoking the mercy of his guru, please allow me to speak in such a way that the common people will understand. So those are just some points I want to make. Let us be aware that there's Vedas, and they're very voluminous. Let us be aware that there are such things as Gayatris and other forms of approaching the Lord. There are rituals that we might become aware of. And, some people that come to us, they say, oh, we want our wedding to last for 5 days. Okay, great. Well, we got the rituals for it. Some people come and they say, we'd like to get married. We want to be done in a half hour. And we're quite flexible. Okay, and it's Vivaha Yajna. It's a sacrifice for marriage. And I have to tell you something. It was 2 years ago. I did a marriage for a couple. They're both doctors, and she comes from an Italian background, and he comes from an Indian background. In fact, I had him as one of my young actors in Nandulal. Maybe Gauri Chandra will remember this is Vani Priya. So I married them, in front of a pure white audience. I mean, they're all their relatives, except for a few Indian folks. It's all like, all their Western friends came. Yeah, it was very interesting. And they insisted on writing their own little, it's not a eulogy, that's not what you call it, but their own sort of vows that they're making to each other. And I thought it was very cute. And one particular line, it goes like this, something like this, I'm paraphrasing. And even if we are committing a crime, I will be an accomplice with you. I just thought that was so good. I mean, it just shows the level of commitment and loyalty towards each other. And I bless them, and I hope that they're doing good to this very day. And so anyways, I just want to make my point clear on this, that when there's mention, like in the Gita, of different literatures that have not fallen through the channel of the BBT, we have to be aware that there's a much bigger world out there. It's not just the ISKCON bubble. But Prabhupada has given us everything we need for our spiritual progress. Once he said, I've given you everything, right? I've given you everything. So we think he hasn't given us everything. Think twice, think thrice, and understand that if you follow what the material that he's given to us and go through it again and again and again, revelations will come to you, epiphanies will come to you, guaranteed, because what he's saying is coming, it's come from a very pure source. And again, we don't need to be distracted by so many different Vedas, because they can distract us, and we don't want any distractions, because Krishna is the ultimate for us. So those are just a few things I want to mention to you all in regards to the just peering over some of these words. Poetry, poetry on Gayatri. Well, okay, that's beautiful. And looking at some of the different Vedas. And remember, November, December is good, but every time in Krishna consciousness, every month is good, isn't it? Every month is good. Matra Svarashastakantaya Shitoshna Sagudagada. Whether it's summertime or wintertime, it doesn't matter. It's all good because we have our sadhana to embrace. So it's all good. All good. Thank you. I welcome any comments.
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yes.
What is included in Vedic literature?
What is included? Everything that is meant for people coming from different backgrounds, anybody from the different varnas and ashramas. When I say varnas, we're talking about people of different vocations. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. There's something there for everybody. But Prabhupada is inclined to direct us towards some Brahminical teachings, because that is like screwing the head onto the social body. The vision is from Brahminical teachings, just being motivated by the mode of goodness and ultimately landing oneself into surrender. Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Okay. So the Vedas all have to do with dharma, following codes, following regulations, stepping up, moving it forward, ascending, not descending, but ascending. And but ultimately, it is what Prabhupada has given us, contained in the Fifth Veda, and the literatures of a very strong spiritual nature that will help us to really rise and shine. Okay. So Prabhupada also he was telling us that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave orders to his disciples, such as this Shad Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, to write literatures on the science of devotion, loving Krishna. So they did that, and they did very well. And so then the Sandarbhas from Jiva Goswami and others, are something we can, peer through. But I think the ultimate landing spot is, to where you put your feet on the ground is with Prabhupada's material. So there's a lot there, Prabhu. There's so much material there, what we call the Vedas. You'll spend a few lifetimes on it. Do you have the time?
You.
Do you have the time to study it? Similarly, I'd just like to add, some people feel it's very necessary to study Sanskrit in order to get the essence of the truth, of the tattva. But we have found that even during, Prabhupada's era when he was with us and after, oftentimes people who get seriously into Sanskrit studies, they oftentimes lose their bhakti or their spirit for service in the process. So what is the good of that? Prabhupada was not so much keen on us being Sanskritists as he was in us being, full-fledged Vaishnavas. And that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't study Sanskrit. I'm not saying that at all. But his idea was don't kill your devotion while you're in the process of studying the Vedas. Does that help, Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you.
Good. Anything else that might come up to people's minds? I think the last point that I didn't touch on just now is spring. I think everybody likes spring. Are there any spring haters here? Flower-bearing spring. The colors are amazing. They just explode out of the ground. The smells, the colors, the energy, it's so magical. So I think everyone can appreciate spring.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And that's Prabhupada. So one of the things, offenses, there are 10 offenses against chanting, right? So one of the offenses is to pursue Vedic versions for benefit instead of following the Vedas. They say in one of the offenses, right?
Right. Can you tell us exactly how it's spelled out to us?
Wait, I'll just pull out the sheet.
Just for everybody's clarification. Oh, what a great soul. Got out of a seat and he's going out and finding it. Yeah, in the morning in the temples, everywhere we mentioned the 10 offenses against chanting or 10 offenses against service, period.
So number one, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures to pursuance of the Vedic version.
Right. So your question has to do with, just to clarify that point.
Yeah, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of the Vedic versions.
Okay, so we're talking about Shruti and Smriti. We're talking about Shruti, original Vedas, and Smriti, which are literatures that echo the original, Vedas, or they're a recall, Smriti. It's just like a complements what was already there. So anything that's Vedic, when we talk about Vedas, it means what? If we refer to Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvaya aham eva vidya, Vedanta krit veda videva chaham. That's in chapter 15. Somebody might like to look it up. Vedaischa sarvaya. So the purpose of the Vedas is to know me, to know God. And the Vedas is like one's mother, okay? If you didn't have a chance to meet your daddy, if you didn't get to know your father, mommy will tell. And the mother is the Vedas. You can reference her and she can tell you who the person's father, who your father was, just if you don't know already. It's good if you can. This is how we get to know the king, through the queen. And so that's what the Vedas are there for. Veda, vid, knowledge, to know, to be aware, to be conscious of. That's what we mean by Vedas. I took Latin when I was in high school. And we were talking video, different tenses. It's all coming from the Sanskrit, vid. And that means to see. Video, right?
Video.
Video, it's Sanskrit, coming from vid. And that's the origin of so much of our material, so much of what we know now. Yeah. So that's the purpose of the Vedas, to know God. And Srila Prabhupada has done a nice thing. He's given us a package deal. He's well aware of what's out there, but he gave us the devotional side of the Vedas. What Vyasadeva was blessed with by his guru, Narada Muni, was the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's all about bhakti. It's all about devotion. Yeah. And so Prabhupada translated it. And they got to the 10th canto somewhere midway, and then others took it up after that as an assignment to completion. But there you have a literature which is Amala Purana, of the Purana, the histories, the stories, which are pure. Amalam. Amala means, spotless Purana. There's not materially motivated religion there. It's not to do with demigod worship. It doesn't direct you towards worshiping this god or that goddess and so on like that. It's about pure love being rendered and directed towards the source of all. Aham sarvasya prabhavo tasarvam pravartate. In this particular chapter, we have this verse where Krishna says, I'm the source of all the material and spiritual worlds. So that's the purpose of the Vedas, to go to the source. May the source be with you, not the force be with you. May the source be with you. Is that okay? So we're in good, we're just in good hands. Prabhupada has given us everything that we need for our spiritual progress. And for really deep, enriched, devotional, texts, we do have Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, etc., etc. They've given us so much, whereby we can get closer to Krishna. Anyways, yesterday I went shopping, okay? I go this one place. It's in an affluent town called Oakville. And they have a real special kind of shoe available, which my feet love, okay? And I love this store because it's the shoes, they're shipped in from Italy and with Swiss technology. They're really good. And they just have it in a little corner. You have a few choices, maybe up about 20 choices, that's all. That's why I like it. Keep it simple for me, Matt. The KISS program, keep it simple, sadhu. And I'm not one to shop around. When you look at the whole vast Vedas, it can be kind of confusing. So what Prabhupada did for us, he streamlined everything. He modified everything to bring us to the point. These are the books you want. This is what you need. This is for this day and age. You want to love Krishna, this is the material. And that's it. So what do you think about that, Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj. On that regard, I was just thinking, as you said, that the Vedas are divided into Artha Shastra and Paramarthika Shastra. And Prabhupada focused on Bhakti Shastra because the other side is controversial. One example, Purushottam Adhika Mas is called Mala Mas by the Artha Shastra, but in Bhakti Shastra is seen as the best month that comes only every 3 years. But for them, actually, it's such a bad month that there is no activities, that nobody gets married, etc., etc. So as you said, can be very confusing and is contradictory. So Prabhupada focused on Bhakti Shastra without going here and there and confusing people.
Thank you very much, And Srila Prabhupada actually discouraged us from reading some other material, like say, even from his godbrothers. And he wrote once, he said, even if they say something different from what I've said, it will confuse, Even if they present a slightly different angle, it will cause, frustration and confusion. So he was very, he wanted us to be very, sort of in a way, our vision should be very tunnel-like, one direction, not blind, but not that we have our blinders on, but just very focused on the love of Krishna. That's right. I've seen it. I've seen it myself. Devotees get distracted despite Prabhupada's warnings, And some people go into deep subject matter like the conjugal literature, and some people might go to Kama Sutra, which is all about love and stuff, And we don't need that really. We just need simple devotion, Patrang pushpam phalam jayam yo me bhakti prayachiti tadaham bhakti paritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. All you simply have to do is offer to me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, and I will accept it. It's the simple things that he likes. It doesn't need to be elaborate. He likes simplicity. Thanks for that contribution. Go to Chandra. Does anybody else have anything they want to say?
Well, Maharaj, there are other Gaudiya Vaishnava groups that say that in order to go to the spiritual world, one has to, dive into the relationship one could have with the Supreme Lord.
That's right.
It can't come all of a sudden at the time of death, that realization, but one has to get a lot of information and start practicing already during this lifetime. So what do you say to that?
Well, I would just like to stay, let's say, very focused on what Prabhupada did for us. He's given us everything that we need for our spiritual progress. There's no need to look outside. And we should feel confident that he, empowered as he is, like Shakya Vaishavatar, being empowered by Krishna to do what he did, there should be no sort of question or doubt about the level of his potency. So if we are to cultivate Krishna consciousness with his material, his texts as our basis, we should serve to be successful. And the proof is in the pudding, right? Eating the pudding, as George Harrison used to say. So the proof is there by the people that you see, some of the outstanding devotees that have followed the, the streamlined messages of the Lord through Prabhupada, and they have become very successful. Like this Rajendra Nandan, who just passed away, godbrother, he was there. I know him, he was the embodiment of positivity. He was optimistic. He'd always smile, he'd laugh. He would, everything was about Krishna, and everything was about his Leela. He was a grahastha, but he was just outstanding. And so that's another person to, just as an example. Krishna states in the Gita, many, many persons have become purified by knowledge of me. So like the thing is to, it's just good to be loyal to a group, to a disciplic succession, instead of hopping around like a bunny rabbit, and going from hole to hole. It's a matter of focus. It's like being dedicated to a person in marriage. It's like being dedicated to one's children. You might do philanthropic work for other children, but your children are your children. They're your biggest responsibility. And so it's that kind of commitment with a capital C that's important. And now those of us who grew up under Western circumstances, our say our habit, our trend, tendency is to try something new all the time. Try this, try that, this, that, this, that, this, that. I remember years ago, devotees were getting to sort of like a Gopi Baba kind of discussions, and one particular godbrother would say, Maharaj, I don't think I was a Maharaj at the time. I think there's something more that I need. There's something more out there that I'm craving for. So I was a little bit worried for this godbrother. And then later on, you found out he sort of fell flat on his face. And, he felt he wasn't ready for other more deep subject matters. And, he just sprang right back to, whereas before, it's all about Prabhupada. It's commitment to him. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done. It's about loyalty. So that's how we're going to advance, through loyalty. And if you have a particular guru who says, okay, like Mahaprabhu did this, said, okay, I see you want to specialize in this area. Fine, go to Ramananda Rai or somebody like that. I think that he might satisfy your needs and your interests. So if Guru says specifically, go to this person, that person, and so on, who specialize in certain areas, then it's a blessing coming from them. But if that doesn't quite happen, then just let's try to be conscious, and then we can become Krishna conscious. Let's try to be faithful for a good stretch. And then we can see. So I'm hoping that I'm addressing your concerns. That I've seen devotees just stay very committed to Prabhupada's mission, his instructions, and they've come out to be very, very successful. So that to me is a, what would you call it? It's a testimony. It's my testimony. I know that the system works. And the system is to be committed to a tradition, walk the line with Prabhupada. And even now that he's passed, most of us have had some celebration from his passing. It's uncomfortable because it seems to denote that, well, he's gone, he's left us. No, he didn't. He hasn't. He's very much present with us. And you can feel that and experience it by rendering service to his lotus feet in the form of his murti or in the form of his instructions and so on. Anything else, Bruce? I'm going to yawn. It was a quick one. So I've got this homeopathic medicine for my insomnia. It's called Aurum Metallicum. And for the most part, it works. But oftentimes I'm yawning when I'm not supposed to.
Can you say the name again? Can you say the name again?
Aurum Metallicum. Aurum Metallicum. And that's complemented by one other herb, if you want to call it. That's called Kali Phosphoricum. Kali Phosphoricum. I like those. They're almost like Sanskrit words. Okay, so if the doctor gives you a prescription, you try to follow it. Prabhupada's given us a prescription. He's told, here's your medicine. Okay. The Mahamantra, of course, and then there's a Panchatattva Mahamantra. And then, of course, where there's some insistence from the acharyas that we should honor the guru, so Prabhupada pranams, okay? And then we've also got, the books. We got the Gita, we got the Bhagavatam, this, that, this, that. These are all the medicines that we're taking. And if you get off the medicine, I'm good, I don't need this anymore. I don't need this medicine. I'm cured now. Then you're really in trouble. My God, really in trouble. Hare Krishna. Anything else, Bruce?
when you were saying about if you were giving an example of Mahaprabhu told one of his disciples to go, maybe with the guru's
Blessing.
blessings, things can be different. So I was thinking in our personal case, between me and my husband, we had a disagreement, one of many, about one of my husband's friend who lost her husband. So he wanted to help the family out by giving money, which is okay with me. But then I was
But giving
concerned
which? I'm
with
sorry.
some Lakshmi money.
Oh, Lakshmi, okay.
I was okay with that, but then I was also concerned that they were eating meat and everything, so I was not sure how that was going to come back and affect us. So I told my husband to call you, and he
Oh,
did. And you were asking some question after that. You said, "Okay, go ahead and give." And my husband gave that to this lady. We didn't follow up in her life after that. 4 or 5 years later, we hear that she is now chanting rounds and going. She went on parikrama in Vrindavan with devotees. Somehow she came because she was thinking, why? What is this? He is giving me money, okay, and then he is a Hare Krishna. So let me go check out Hare Krishnas, and then she is now at the verge of taking initiation. So I thought, thank you to you.
wow. So you see, people will respond to devotional or devotee kindness, isn't it? Like Anantashesh felt the need to help someone in need during a low point in their life, during a time of grievance or whatever it was. And so, therefore, she responded, this particular friend responded to kindness, which is a Vaishnava. Somebody's got a monster in their house. Okay. Okay, I think he's gone now. He's put back in his pen, his cage. Okay, so yeah, I think that I think the gesture of helping someone, even if it's in a physical way, is one door. It's a door that opens up for people. Oh, Krishna devotees are very kind, heart is gentle. They're approachable, and maybe I should check it out. So I think that like when the tsunami came around, if you recall, way up in the north, in the east, south or southeast Asia, I guess that's. Some devotees got the idea. Let's go and distribute books now, Bhagavatams or Bhagavad Gitas. People are very distressed now, and they'll be into the books. So it wasn't so smart an idea, because some people say, I don't need my books. I lost my family. My house is gone. I need basics. I need to eat. I'm hungry. I don't need a book now. So I think that we have to move along in this world with intelligence, and look at what the needs are for people first, and then surely you can win them over later on. There are some communities are very good at welcoming new immigrants. They welcome them into their community. They help them get set up. They find a house for them. They feed them. They give them some money. And of course, somebody might say that's cheap. You're buying them you're converting them through dollars and cents. But the thing is that these people are desperately in need of their loss. They don't have any friends, and who knows what kind of torture they may have come from. Then when they see, the hand of kindness is extended out to them, they say, oh, these are nice people. They're friendly. They're warm. They're like making me feel at home. Shouldn't devotees be in that spot, be there at that time? With our food, with our kindness, and stick by these people. They'll say, these are the nicest people on the planet. I think I can identify with. I want to be like them. So I think that these acts of kindness are very important in our Krishna consciousness. Things such as Food for Life and those kind of initiatives are really critical for bringing people around to higher consciousness. But thank you for bringing that up. We haven't heard from a lot of devotees. I've hogged the show here. And but is there anybody else who has anything? What I'd like to do, to be honest with you, I'd like to scroll sideways. I'd like to see tell me briefly if there's anything that was said today by either myself or Paramatma in the heart or by any devotee coming up to say something, or just some realization. Could we hear from all of you? Now, this is going to be a test in being short and sweet. So let's start with Gaurachandra and Vani Priya.
I specifically loved when you said that Gayatri is a plus, although the Maha Mantra is the essence, because Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan, no Gayatri Sankirtan. So that was my favorite part.
Yes, yes. Very good. Fantastic. What about Vani Priya? Can you tell us?
And I like that you said that you can give love and devotion, flower and fruits, and the Krishna
Okay.
can that. That was my favorite part.
Chapter 9, text 26. Yes, Haribol. Thank you. Then let's hear from Vaishnavi herself.
Can I go later, Maharaj?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we don't have much time. Dharma and Manasi Ganga.
So Maharaj, what we learned today is that stay focused on Prabhupada books, what he has given, just follow.
Yeah. Make it simple. Don't make it life complicated. Yeah, thank you very much. Manasi Ganga.
Yes, Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj. I learned from you that when we are sincere and faithful to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, definitely Guru Bhagwan will help us.
We will be successful. Yes. Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Kunam, would you tell us what's on your mind? Can you hear us? Unmute yourself. We have to go quickly with this.
Later.
Sorry?
Later.
Okay, we don't have too much time for people saying later. Okay, hurry up, Basanta, please. Hello.
Hello.
Quickly, if everybody could be ready, roll it out. Unmute yourselves, please.
Well, what I learned was, one doesn't have to be a great intellectual or very learned to reach Bhagwan's. One hears that again and again, but it never really internalizes. But I think we have to hear it again and again and again. So that's what I always get from your this session.
Well, thank you. That's a nice compliment. Bravo. Sankalpa, would you like to say something? Hello? Okay, she's not there. I just see a wall. Kirti Sharma, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. When you said Prabhupada has given us everything, it really touched my heart. And it's true that he has given us everything. We just need to read his books. And somewhere I read that like Srila Prabhupada, he's still alive in his books. So we just need to read them.
Yes, you're very good. That's great. It's good to hear that. It's good to be reminded. Ananda Shesh, are you ready to say something?
Yes, Maharaj. Really quickly.
We only have 2 minutes now, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, really quickly. Just looking at what Prabhupada has given us, including his books and his more than 3,000 lectures, I don't see there's enough time and lifetime to to go through all that stuff.
I agree with you. Very good, very good. Thank you. Adikarta, tell us what's on your mind. Adikarta? Okay, Arjuna? Some people
Hare
might be.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, everybody. I think that, yeah, Prabhupada definitely has given us everything that we need. We just need to apply it every day out to ourselves because, you know, like there's the books, the lectures, the community, you know, prasadam. And I was talking to somebody today and they were telling me that the best thing they can eat is meat. And I was like, you know, I didn't tell them that, but that's due to ignorance because they really don't know that meat doesn't have any taste. So if they actually knew how to cook, they probably wouldn't even be eating that.
Wow, they have to learn from you how to cook.
I'll
Thank you very much.
Hare
Jai Mataji, Hare Krishna. Jennifer, Jai Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the class and for reminding me that Prabhupada has given us everything we need. I needed that reminder.
Okay, thank you for the underscoring it. Yeah, appreciate it. Then we have Gaily. I don't know if I said it right. Go ahead. Quickly, 6 o'clock. Okay, Moksha Leela, can you tell us? Moksha Leela, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. The two things, one is sincerity and other is determination that I always think that I need for my spiritual life. And I always learn from you and in your class.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't deserve it, but yeah. Rasaraj ji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, yes, I think but whatever Prabhupada gave us, that's good enough. So we'll stick to that.
Good, good. Seems to be the overwhelming theme. Well, great. I know Curtis was with us for a while. I don't see him now. But I guess we've gone to, anybody else want to do a quickie that didn't get a chance? Okay.
Yeah, Prabhupada had given us everything, and definitely I needed the reminder. Thank you.
Oh, good, good. There you go. The theme shines through. Poonam, did you want to say something quickly? And then we're here from Sankalpa. And we'll...
Hare Krishna Maharaj, everything is kept Prabhupada, Krishna mercy.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes. Sankalpa? Just some closing words.
Yeah, definitely. It was nice to hear that there's really everything there in Prabhupada's books, and also a lot of Krishna Leela Katha is there in Krishna book, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in all the books there is. And Prabhupada also mentioned that when we follow the process that Krishna in the holy name or as a super soul will reveal, if we need to have any knowledge about our role in the spiritual world or whatever.
Yes, yes. Okay, beautiful. Thank you all, Prabhus. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
And for those of you who are eligible for the mantra retreat, you can still register. It's an easy thing to do. Just let me know how I can help you. All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.